Good morning. Welcome to Rooted and Relevant. And today is a work day for me. I'm going to put in a dishwasher for a friend and power wash a driveway and some pavers and get them all cleaned up. And so I wanted to take a few minutes before I launched out into a day of work and share with you some thoughts from God's Word. It is important for us. I have entitled this one regarding wealth and wisdom, and really, what do they do? I'm not saying that wisdom is not a good thing. I'm not saying that accumulating wealth is not a good thing. I'm just simply helping us to understand it from God's word and from Solomon's perspective that God is recording here for us, is to ask ourselves the question: if I pursue after wisdom or if I pursue after wealth, what does it do for me? And so Solomon says in chapter 2, Ecclesiastes 2 and verse 12, and I turned myself to behold wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do that cometh after the king, even that which hath already been done? Then I saw that wisdom excelleth folly, as far as light excelleth darkness. A wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walketh in darkness. And I myself perceived also that one event happeneth to them all. Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth unto me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart, this is also vanity. And for there is no remembrance of the wise man more than the fool forever, seeing that which now is and the days to come shall all be forgotten. And how dieth the wise man? As the fool. Uh, Solomon is basically reminding us that it doesn't matter if you're wise or if you're a fool when it comes to death. Everyone's going to die. That life was never going to be about the wise man. Life was never going to be about the fool. Now, I'm not belittling the fact that wisdom exalts Christ. It shows the character of Christ. Wisdom in the book of Proverbs is a manifestation of the character traits of Christ. And foolishness is the character traits of selfishness. So, this tension that goes on in our flesh, the tension that is going on in the world between the spirit and selfishness, is real. And the fact that you do wise things is going to be good. Solomon is not belittling wisdom. He's just contrasting, saying, okay, so if I am wise, do I avoid death? And the answer is no. If I'm very wise, does it change what man thinks of me over time? No. The reality is that life was never going to be about us. It never has been, and it never will be. So Solomon is going to give us the conclusion and why we pursue after wisdom, but it isn't so that people think I'm a wise man. They might think I'm a wise guy, but that's a totally different statement. But not so that people think I'm so smart, that I'm so wise, that I'm so mature. Listen, it's not about me and it's not about you. And Solomon is saying in this, you pursue wisdom, even if you become the smartest guy on the planet, you are going to die. And so is your wisdom. And so it's the same for the wise man as it is for the fool. And that is that we will soon be forgotten. Our life here will be over. This is an important aspect as to why you build disciples, and so that they can perpetuate truth. But that's another discussion. In this context, Solomon is reminding us that just to have wisdom, to show people how smart you are, will not pay off. It's like these life or college people that get degree after degree after degree. They just want people to see how smart they are. But what happens? They're going to die, just like the fool, the person who never pursues after knowledge or wisdom. But then he's going, I'm going to skip down a couple of verses to verse 18, because now he talks about the accumulation of wealth or labor. Yea, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me. In other words, Solomon said, I'm going to accumulate all this wealth. I'm not taking any of it to the grave with me. So then who gets it? He doesn't name the person. Doesn't matter if it's a family member or a friend or the government or the state. Whoever gets it, he said this: after I'm gone, a man will get it after me. It won't even be mine anymore. Then he says, and who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool? Yet shall he have rule over all my labor wherein I have labored, and wherein I have showed myself wise under the sun. This is also vanity. I don't know how people are going to use my money when I'm gone. I'm not, I don't know how they're going to run the business when I'm not here. I don't know what they're going to do to my house when I'm not here. I don't have any control, Solomon is saying. Therefore, I went about to cause my heart to despair of all the labor which I had took under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is in wisdom and knowledge and equity. Yet to a man that hath not labored therein, shall he leave it for his portion? Many times we find that children who inherit a business inherit tons of money from parents. They don't know what it took to get it. They don't appreciate it. They don't understand it. They don't know the purpose of having wealth, or the means to get it or to keep it. And so many times they lose it. They lose it out of ignorance. They lose it out of selfish indulgence. They lose it for a lot of reasons. And Solomon is simply saying, if your goal is to accumulate wealth, just know you're going to die, and you don't know what's going to happen afterwards. And he found this to be vanity. He said, this is also vanity and a great evil. In other words, he's like, this is not right that I worked so hard to accumulate and the next guy just wasted it. It all goes away. So what was accomplished? And then he says, for what hath man of all his labor of vexation of heart, wherein he hath labored under the sun? In other words, is it really worth to work so hard just to get wealth? And the answer is no. The answer is no. If you work hard enough, you can get wealth. Some people say some people are just lucky. My dad used to tell me, the harder I work, the luckier I get. So in other words, it's tied to hard work, not luck. And Solomon is saying, so if I work really hard and I accumulate wealth just for the sake of having wealth, is it worth it? And the answer was no. For all his days are sorrows, and his travail grief. Yea, his heart taketh not rest in the night. This is also vanity. In other words, you work hard, you wake up in the middle of the night because of the burden of responsibility and the things that need to be done, the things that need to be addressed, making sure that you're carrying the weight of the responsibility and carrying the stress that comes along with it just to accumulate wealth. He says it's not worth it. So what am I saying? Should we pursue after wisdom? The answer is yes. Should we pursue after wealth? Should we try to manage money in a way where it reproduces itself? Yes. But why? That's the problem. Why? If you're doing it so that people see you, so they think you're smart, so they think you're rich, if you've got to tell people that you're rich, if you've got to try to impress people with your wisdom, you're on a bad path. It's going to end up empty. If you simply are wise stewards and it has increased and you have gained wealth, then thank God for his grace. Thank God for his blessing. Thank God for his enablement. Thank God for what he's allowing you to experience. But make sure that the reason you have it is so that you can exalt Christ, so that you can point people to Christ. Luke 16 says sometimes God gives to us an accumulation of wealth that we might invest it so that when we get to heaven, there can be a long line of those who, when we fail or die, they receive us into eternal habitations. And so when we are looking at the unrighteous mammon of wealth, of degrees, of knowledge, of wisdom, all of these things that God gives us here on earth in order to use for his glory and to reach people with the gospel, we ask ourselves this question: are we really doing that? And is that really our motivation? Or is our motivation that people would see us? Solomon's conclusion is it doesn't make any sense to pursue either one of these, because the grave is real for the fool and the wise person. The grave is real for the poor person and the rich person. The grave is the same for the person who is lazy as the person who is prudent. Um, the grave is coming. And it's not that we shouldn't be responsible stewards. The question is, what is your motivation? Why would you want them? And so it's a great question to remind us: living for the things of this earth should be growing strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace. Let's point people to Jesus. Let's use what God has given to us to point people to Jesus, and he will be glorified in all of that. God bless you. I hope you have a great day today. I'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.